Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 303 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. I'm a little bouncy today. Ooh, so are you, Mr. Grizzly. I like that. You got some happy going on those spirit fingers. Ah, drinking from the Red Black's cup. Understandable.
Yep.
Understandable. Oh my! I just saw something in the chat here. I'm gonna get a little distracted, saying that Billy Joel has a brand new single coming out on February 1st, which actually surprised me because the last interview I heard from him said that he would still do concerts, but he was done writing new material because he had said all he needed to say.
Well, I guess
So that's gonna be. I can't wait to hear what
he has to
I'm
say.
out to write new material. Yeah.
I guess he changed his mind and had something more to say.
I guess so. There you go. All right. Today, recording day is Thursday, January 25th, 2024. And it is going to be an interesting day here at the Beaver Lodge because yesterday we had lots of freezing rain, so much so that all activities for the evening got canceled. No curling match, no rehearsal. They said just like everybody just stay the F home.
Yeah.
Which we did, and which for this beaver was very, very welcome.
It's almost like the early days of the pandemic. Stay home. Don't drive anywhere.
Home.
Stay home.
It's like I got a school day at 50.
Well, I was out at Scotch and Cigar Night.
Snow day.
Snow
day.
We solved some problems last night at Scotch and Cigar Night.
Oh, okay. Which problems did you solve?
Well, all of the world's problems, every single one of them. Of course, they're all back the next morning, so there's nothing much we can do about it. It just keeps on. We solve them all amongst the four of us, and then next thing you know, I wake up, they're all back. It's like nobody listened to our wisdom and wit while we sat on the porch, smoking cigars and drinking scotch.
People got to pay more attention, man.
I'm telling you, a bunch of old white guys on a porch talking about the world. That's just what the world needs more of.
When does that ever happen? When does that ever happen?
I know. It's like it never occurs.
Oh my God. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me, as always, as you can hear, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. I think we're both in a good mood today.
Yeah.
Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing and CanadianTarot.com. We have a nibble for you today with a new guest, but we'll get that to you in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, let's ask Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health doing today, sir?
Sir, I believe I've rounded a corner. And the veil of darkness has been lifted from me. That being said, not going to lie, this dreary weather is not helping my overall mood. But I would say that the depression, the dark cloud of depression that has been hanging over my head for the last couple of weeks has definitely been lifted. I just need some vitamin D and some actual sunshine, which I understand the nation's capital is going to get about 4 or 5 days of next week, I believe. So that is
Yes.
very welcome because it's been
Dreary.
dreary. November, December, January have been dreary, and
Yes.
we had snow overnight yesterday. So when I woke up yesterday morning, I should say, there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 new centimeters of new snow. And around 3 p.m., 3:30, something like that, the freezing drizzle started. And it continued on till well after I went to bed. It rained a few times. We had freezing rain, but it was mostly freezing drizzle. So it was
Okay.
almost like a mist. But of course, as soon as it hits anything, it freezes. So it's just,
Yeah. Our front lawn, like the snow has this like crusty, beautiful sheen when the street lamp hits it and glows.
It looks lovely.
But try walking in it.
Hang on, let me get my skates on here. I got to skate to work today.
Yeah. So apparently the next 3 or 4 days here are going to be like 0 or above. So all of that is just going to melt. And then it's supposed to, after 4 days, we're going to get like a -11 at night. So if that doesn't all go down the storm drain early enough, we're going to have a flash freeze and a skating rink.
Great.
Yay.
Wonderful.
2
whole days. 2 whole days.
whole days. All right. Kids and Cubs. Lots of stuff going on in the news.
Why is cocaine trending on Twitter?
Is anybody got some?
It's seriously trending. I don't know. Like,
Donald Trump loses stash yet?
oh no, there's the story of
Sorry, Donald Trump Jr. I should say.
no, it's oh, for crying out loud. Yeah. Oh, well, no, it's the most despicable person I can think of on Twitter, Liz Churchill.
Ugh, her.
Has a video of the prime minister at a PWHL game when Ottawa scored to tie it, and he's in the crowd with his son and daughter, and he's applauding, and they're like, "Tell me you're on cocaine. Tell me you're on cocaine." She's the most despicable person I can think of.
She's pretty up there.
Yeah.
That's why I said, "Oh, her."
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. You can hear for people who are not seeing the video, you can hear the eye roll.
Yeah.
Just ugh. Anyway, yeah, lots of stuff in the news. Unfortunately, in Edmonton, a couple days ago, some person decided to go into City Hall with a weapon.
Yeah.
And unload.
And interestingly enough, was taken down by a good guy without a gun.
And there's a video.
I haven't seen it.
Allegedly. I normally don't share that type of content at all because I don't like them to be glorified. But this one I did.
Okay.
On our Twitter feed, the show's Twitter feed, because I listened to it, and how would I put it? Canadians need to hear what it is that goes through their minds.
Okay.
And when you hear it, then all heads should be turning to Smith and Parker.
Oh.
And Poliev and Higgs and Moe and Byrne and company.
Okay.
Because this is what pumping a daily dose of political fentanyl into the system inevitably leads to.
Mm-hmm.
This is what standing up in front of a mic multiple times a day and telling Canadians who it is that they must blame, who it is that they must hate, by offering up a daily scapegoat, this is where it inevitably leads. This. And then she thanks the Edmonton Police Services for essentially cleaning up the inevitable mess that her type of politics creates. And then the very next effing day, the very next effing evening, she is at a political event.
Mm-hmm.
with Jordan Peterson,
Conrad Black,
and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And she posts a picture of them three with her. And she is so happy to be there. You can see her standing there
I saw the photo.
amongst them, smiling. And then saying, we're talking to other people because, this is what free speech is about. And
not a thing that's in Canada again, by the way.
Yeah, it's freedom of expression, not free speech. And she says, like, free speech is about not having to talk to the regular media.
The hell does that mean?
Like, no, that has nothing to do.
Okay,
with
Danielle, come on our show then. I fucking dare you.
Well, here it is. It was before the show, right before the show. That post was up with the picture of her. And she's sitting there. Okay, so she's standing with a man that loses risking his license to practice because he doesn't know how to behave on the internet. A man that cost the former company he used to work for $787.5 million.
Oh, that little...
In a defamation lawsuit because he tried to claim that the election was rigged. This cost them another $12 million for all the sexual harassment and abuse that was going on working in his own particular shop for his show as well. And a convicted felon. The company you keep. And literally, just before coming on the show this morning, Mr. Grizzly, I'm going to put this up here. She had...
You got to blow that up.
Oh, sorry. The picture right up here?
She deleted it?
She had it. She deleted it.
Of course she did.
The picture of her. But it was there literally 4 minutes before I came on. Like, this tweet of mine, it's a quote from Tucker Carlson from that evening yesterday. Quote, "We're spending all this money to liberate Ukraine from the Russians. Why are we not sending an armed force north to liberate Canada from Trudeau?" I mean it.
Yeah, well,
Tucker Carlson, the very next evening after a shooter unloaded at Edmonton City Hall and Alberta Danielle Smith lacks discernment. At 7 a.m. this morning, it is 7:17.
They deleted it.
Their post is gone. Then, her post, thanking Edmonton Services. Police Services here. Oh, sorry. No, that's... Sorry.
I'll let you find it.
Yeah, doesn't matter. All of a sudden, she doesn't want that picture.
Funny that, eh?
She did not know better than to not attend that event. Knowing the type of guy he is, he's the one that created that video all those months ago about having to liberate Canada. She knew what he was going to say. 24 to 36 hours after a man breaks into City Hall with a high-capacity weapon that was able to unload a lot of bullets very quickly. Fortunately, nobody got hurt because all the security arrangements at Edmonton City Hall worked and people were able to be ushered into safer places. There was a class of grade 1 students there at the time, by the way, when that happened. That would have been a fine political mess.
I think.
As well as a fine political mess. I'm putting that first. Because, it wouldn't have been, setting aside, right? I don't know why I'm even setting aside. I mean, my first thought should have been that would have been an incredible tragedy. Then a political mess. Because what would have counted first was the fact that actually people died, particularly children.
Yeah.
But that's what this type of political rhetoric leads to. We've been saying it. It won't stop until someone gets hurt, and they don't care someone who got hurt. And we are very lucky that nobody got hurt. But they're recording manifestos, and they're breaking into government buildings, and they're shooting things up.
Look at this.
Oh, you got it.
Rhiannon, Saucy Sea Witch, just sent that to me.
Free speech means you don't just have to talk to the mainstream media. That's not what free speech means.
No, and
there's nothing about the constitutional right to freedom of expression that says like this: you are forced to talk only to the Canadian Press Gallery. Nothing. Nothing.
And they're on stage.
She's happy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
she is happy to be
joyful.
This is less than 36 hours.
I have a clip of his manifesto.
Yeah,
And here's the thing. I think we should play it, and I'll tell you why. He is parroting Pierre Poilievre.
That's the thing.
Here, this is 34 seconds. Watch.
Or the civilization of our society. I'm just tired of seeing the tyranny and corruption taking over our society and our lives. Good, honest, and God-fearing men and women must be our doctors, law enforcement, diplomats, politicians, and teachers that rise up against this wokeism disease that's leading our generation into deception. We need good men and women in all workforces to promote a pro-human life. Or
Where have we heard those words before?
And Mr. Grizzly, if you could send me the link to that photo.
The photo, yeah, just
I would appreciate that. So yeah, not impressed. We've been saying it on this show. Somebody is going to get hurt. Chrystia Freeland was lucky that she did not get hurt when she was going into that elevator. Chrystia Freeland was lucky that there was nobody else there when David Menzies of The Rebel tried to walk her right into a corner. Justin Trudeau was lucky that he was not at home when the allegedly friendly sausage maker showed up with a truck full of weapons to have a conversation.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jagmeet Singh was lucky that when he was in Peterborough, nobody came there with knives and weapons.
Yeah, because they surrounded him.
Justin Trudeau was lucky in Vancouver when that restaurant was surrounded, that nobody decided to attempt to get a little bolder.
Oh boy,
But they keep pumping it into the system. They keep pumping their poison into the system.
Here's another one. Wait till you see this. Max Fawcett just posted this. He says, and I agree with him, this is just unbelievably reckless. Okay. See if it'll share. There we go. She also encouraged Tucker Carlson to direct some of his anger toward federal Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, who became a key political target in her fight against Ottawa's environmental policies. I wish you would put Stephen Guilbeault in your crosshairs, Danielle Smith said.
Crosshairs, a very interesting choice of words. The evening after.
I don't know when that was said. Okay, I don't know when that was said. So let's not draw the conclusion there. I don't know if it was said at that time or if this was a previous. I don't know when she said that.
Okay. Then, yeah, well, let's not attribute a time.
Exactly, because I don't have a timeline on it. Max posted it, and I thought I'd show it here. Still incredibly reckless.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. So, and then, of course, we found out what was a couple of days ago that there's a bunch of people that have decided that they want to go to police stations and start occupying those.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole. Yeah.
Like these convoy types or whatnot. Like this
They
is
want to
like the
occupy
next
police
phase.
stations. Yeah.
And I'm like, good luck with that.
Yeah. Let me know how that works out.
Like, and they've got planned to stay there until Trudeau and government or government officials. I'm guessing they mean Trudeau. I mean, they could be at all bunch of levels.
Who knows?
But Press Progress, January 23rd. Far-right convoy group plans to occupy Canadian police stations until government officials are arrested. Convoy leader suggests bringing tents and barbecues to occupy police stations for weeks or months until charges are laid. You do that, the only people that are going to have charges laid and be arrested are you guys.
Going to post a link to the Press Progress article about just that in the chat here for anybody who wants to click on it. Far-right convoy groups plan to occupy Canadian police stations until government officials are arrested. Convoy leaders suggest bringing tents and barbecues to occupy police station for weeks or months until charges are... Like, this is just unbelievable, though. I just can't get over it. Oh, I know you just said it. I'm just shocked by it. It's like, how dumb do you have to be?
Yep. The team lead for the plan is Dana Metcalf, an organizer of the original Freedom Convoy, who's currently facing criminal harassment charges after staging a surprise convoy to the home of the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador.
We're dealing with immense levels of stupidity and ignorance here.
It's just... She's also an organizer of last fall's 1 million March for Children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that went well on it. 1 million. Dana Metcalf's a horrible person. I think she just loves being in the spotlight.
Yeah. Then Ron Clark, a participant in the original Freedom Convoy, one of the Save the Children convoy leaders, pledged his support for the plan. Quote, "We're all going to go in big droves to the police stations and serve them documents, and we're not leaving. We're going to serve these documents, and we're going to go there with a few hundred people at different locations, and we're not leaving. We do not leave, even if we're there for a week or whatnot. We don't leave. You tell the officers we're not leaving until we get answers, and these are documented, and we have a file number. So if we're going to be here today, well, we'll be here tonight, tomorrow, and on the day on, until after all of it's looked at."
I think, did we lose Mr. Beaver? I think we lost Mr. Beaver. Is he frozen? I think he's frozen. Oh, no. Let me just text him. Let's see. I think we've lost him. Well, that does happen. Sometimes technology just fails us. So I will take him out of the stream for a moment or two while he tries to recuperate and see what happened there. His computer may have crashed. Yeah, computer blue screened. Ah, right in the middle of it. Okay. So I'll just send him a message. Okay. We'll wait. We'll wait. There we go. I'm terribly sorry about that. Technology does fail us from time to time. He'll be back in a moment or two. In the meantime, I do want to share something with you, which I thought was quite comically hilarious and oddly accurate, if you will. This is a comic. And, well, I'll just put it on the screen and then I'll read it for the audio version. This is, in the first panel, we have a bird on a tree who's singing. And the words of the song are, "The insects are gone, we're starving." Then we have a robin on the ground screaming, "Our populations are collapsing." Then there's a bird on a tree branch. "You're next, you idiotic human bastards." There's a guy sipping a cup of coffee, perhaps, staring out the window at the bird songs and saying, "Beautiful." That's just too funny because it's oddly accurate. I'm sure that's what the birds are doing, telling us that we're destroying the planet. Minute by minute, day by day, second by second. We're a curious species. Mr. Beaver is back. Let's hope things are working, sir. No audio, sir. Yeah, you'll have to restart the show, the software. No problem. Go ahead and restart it. I'll still sit here and ramble on. I'll edit this out of the audio version because there's no need for that. When we have computer glitches, I try and edit them out of the audio-only version simply due to the fact that people don't want to listen to mistakes. People want to listen to a fluid flowing show, and I'm trying to give that to you. So, sir,
there we go.
I think you are back. There we are. You are back, sir.
There we go. So there. Look, even my computer was so tired of that BS that in the middle of him taking 3 paragraphs to say, we're going to stay and we got documents, the computer said, girl, that's enough, and blue screened me.
Yeah.
All right. So, setting that slightly aside for the moment, we have something for you today that you're going to enjoy. We told you that this year we're focusing a lot on New Brunswick because there's a provincial election coming. And it's one of the ones that is flippable. And it's very, very, very important for Canadians. Yes. And it's very, 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 very important to flip this one because the absolute worst thing that could happen politically is that Pierre Poilievre becomes Prime Minister of Canada while we have 7 provinces with over 50% of the population who are governed by conservative, ideologically leaning conservative parties. We had 8. Manitoba flipped, but we got to flip one more. And Saskatchewan's having an election this year, and I have a feeling that Saskatchewan's not going to flip because they seem to love their Mo.
And I don't know why.
So it's got to be New Brunswick. I don't know why either. He's a horrible human being.
He really is.
So it's got to be New Brunswick. So to that effect, I have a friend, someone I love very much, who I have immense respect for their knowledge and ability. And this is someone we've been wanting to bring on the show for some time, but it hasn't been possible until recently. And this is a resident of New Brunswick who has lots of experience. And I'm looking for the bio now because, of course, I had it all pulled up when we were starting the show, and because everything crashed.
That's what
happens. There we go. That's what happens. So she's from the East Coast. She's been involved with all levels of government, from municipal to federal. She has written federal and provincial political policy. She has worked with all 4 federal parties and was a federal regional organizer and campaign manager for federal and provincial candidates. She's an environmental and social justice campaigner who believes that the best way to affect political change is to work within the system and get involved directly with those seeking or holding office. And her motto comes from a quote from Arundhati Roy. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The trouble is that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you've seen it, keeping quiet, saying nothing becomes as political an act as speaking out. There's no innocence. Either way, you're accountable.
Indeed.
And we've asked her to come in to keep an ear to the ground on what's going on in New Brunswick because we can't be everywhere. And come in and report regularly on what's going on there. And also because, it's been a bit of a sausage party here for the better part of the 3 years at the Beaver Lodge.
Well, yeah.
And not that I mind sausage, kids. But I do believe in diversity as well, and that variety is the spice of life. So kids and cubs, please put your paws up and give a big round of applause to our first correspondent. Welcome, High Tide Hilda. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, dear?
I'm good. It's a chilly morning.
It's chilly, is it? Yeah.
We had snow last night, so outside is just a perfect picture. Everything's covered in white.
Oh, lovely.
That will make Pierre Poilievre very happy. Oh, did I say that? Oh, sorry.
I'm just thinking about the people moving into the police stations. Do they not realize it's January?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they decided
Yeah.
to form a convoy and come to Ottawa in January and into February, which, as anybody in Ottawa will tell you, that's not a very wise thing to do.
That's why they needed the hot tubs.
Yes.
So, Hilda, my friend, why don't you tell the kids a little bit more about yourself before we get into it?
I'm a busy person. I don't know what you need to know. I try to stay out of politics personally anymore. I try to avoid going to the meetings that people call me to. I try to avoid them to say, oh, well, I've been asked, I guess the last 3 elections, to stand for office. Don't want to do that. Much more fun behind the scenes, I think, than standing in front of the camera. You get into a lot less trouble that way.
Yes. Believe me, I understand.
And there's that fear that once I get the taste of power, there'd be no stopping me. So.
Well, yeah, we don't want a megalomaniac on our hands. We have enough of them.
I really don't know what I'd turn into.
I worry about that myself because every now and then we have some kids going, the Canadian Beaver Party, Douglas for
Well,
Prime
the
Minister.
thing is, I'm almost always right.
I'm seldom wrong myself.
But I do like hearing other people's opinions. That's
indeed.
I like that. The other day, Evan Scrimshaw was commenting on something about the federal court decision, saying, it's like, oh, this is going to be taken to a higher court and it's going to be overturned. And I thought that, but all I said is like, well, this is definitely going to be appealed. And I stopped there because I like being right. I wasn't so bold on the outcome. I figured I'd be a little more cautious in my prediction.
It's always a good idea to stop and think before you make a statement like that.
Here's a good one from James. You can't be a politician. You like to hear others' opinions.
Okay. So, my dear Hilda, what has it's a big day in New Brunswick because today they're doing something called like the State of the Province, I think. I don't know if that's a new thing in New Brunswick.
Like a throne speech almost?
Well, it's almost like State of the Union in the United States, but State of the Province. So I don't know if like the concept of State of the Province is something that Blaine Higgs has brought, or whether or not it's a New Brunswick thing.
I think it's merely a something for the media, I think.
All right. And so that's going on today. So it's a big day. And that's one of the reasons why we have not yet been able to do our interview in French with Susan Holt, because they wanted to focus their time on preparing for that and their response for that. But hopefully we'll be able to do that after.
Something interesting happened with me yesterday. My computer has been acting up, and it was my router. We just got a new router just signed up with a new company. So I called in to get the repair. And it turns out the fellow that I was talking to is a New Brunswicker. So I mentioned today's show, and he was kind of interested. So I said, they're talking about the election. And he said, what election? Apparently people in New Brunswick don't know that there's going to be an election. He was up on all the news. It's just the election part surprised him. So.
Interesting, given that he's been hinting that it's been coming. And I mean, I believe that there was an article the other day that said that the province of New Brunswick Elections New Brunswick had to spend $1.7 million preparing for the election they thought was coming last year, because he seemed to be hinting that he was going to go really early.
And maybe this
and then he pulled back.
They're just ignoring it because they've heard it so long. Maybe, I don't know.
That could be. Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. So, yesterday in the news, there's a very interesting thing that you sent us about Blaine Higgs and Policy 713. There seems to be a tendency with our conservative leaders, particularly our premiers, of saying that, oh, I never heard of anything. And then we find out that we do. The other day we found out in Ontario that Paul Sackville, who was working in Steve Clark, who was the Minister of Housing at the time of the whole Greenbelt stuff office, and now is working directly for Doug Ford, knew about Greenbelt plans and was involved in them a full 10 days prior to him admitting under oath, by the way, to the Integrity Commissioner that he was. So apparently, they say, "Oh, I didn't know. Like, I didn't read the T-shirt." It's always first to lie. And then Blaine Higgs made some comments that, oh, he was somehow surprised about what Policy 713 had in store. But turns out that there are now some documents out there that shows that he knew how many years? Not days, but years? 4?
Yeah.
Was it?
They're playing the long game. They're thinking, if we work this the right way, our base will be happy, and to everyone else will be completely innocent. It really is mind-blowing. This is, my kids used to do this when they were 7. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But they do know. Like, this... Well, that's the thing. In the case of Blaine Higgs, it's 4 full years. 4 full years.
Yeah. And they knew what the reaction was going to be, so they spent a lot of time laying the base for it, building it up kind of slowly, so that maybe we can sneak this in and not too many people will notice if we word it kind of the right way. And if the press goes along with us.
Huh.
Yeah, there's some dirty politics happening there.
And the sad part is, this is not an issue in New Brunswick. There are not 7,000 kids who want to change their names. There's a few.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to affect everybody. It's not going to ruin children's lives and set parents out on the sidewalk. It's silly. They've created this issue purposely, I think.
Well, Faytine is now running for, I forget which riding she's in, Faytine Grasecci, who wrote a book a few years ago that she conveniently can't seem to remember any of the things she wrote in the book that was her autobiography. She's trying to distance herself politically from her religious views, which I find interesting, because if she gets elected, you know damn well she's going to force her religious views on all of New Brunswick. And I think Blaine is right there with her. My opinion.
Not only is she doing that, I saw on Twitter the other day that she's been in charge of recruiting candidates to run in other ridings.
That's scary.
Great.
Candidates in her image. He's going full
Trump.
Evangelical.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Come for the next election. What's your sense, Hilda, on the ground? That
nobody...
Is there an appetite for that?
Nobody's paying attention.
Interesting.
From what I see and from the people that I talk to, if I bring something up, it's like, oh, I didn't know that. And there's always the few that are, they know exactly what's going on and they're very opinionated about it, and that's great. But it doesn't seem to be mainstream yet. It may be. I mean, there are little stories that flash up that get people mad for 15 minutes, but nobody's getting involved. They'll probably get more if they start going into the glyphosate issues. That's been big in New Brunswick for years. The spraying, and people have been threatened their jobs. People have lost their jobs for complaining about glyphosate and what's happening with that. And there's the Irvings, the tax issues, all of that stuff. But that's the whole Maritimes, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, even down into the States. The Irvings are.
Yeah, because they have stations all throughout Maine and.
It's huge in Maine. They own most of it in Maine.
Yeah. Are they not? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Irving's also in Massachusetts to a certain degree? Are they not?
They're probably worldwide.
Yeah.
But they bank, I think, in Bermuda or Ireland. I'm not sure which place. So we don't actually get any benefit for Irving being here, unless they sponsor a ball team, maybe.
Well, you know that there is one Irving station in the Ottawa Valley. It's in Pembroke. It's been there for, 50 years, I think. It's the furthest west Irving station outside of the Maritimes. And it's the only one I know of this far west. And the Big Stop, the restaurant there, is the busiest and best restaurant in town.
It is.
Joking.
The Big
I'm not
Stop
joking.
is wonderful.
It really is.
It's
It's like they got a little shopping area for truckers because it's Highway 17. But the restaurant itself, best place to go for a meal. It's always packed.
Yeah.
Always packed.
It's a huge, huge business. I mean, they've got Kent
Really is.
Building Supplies, huge hardware stores. They've got Kent Homes, the little prefab kind of home things. They've got service stations. They've got little stores. They've got,
Well diversified, yeah.
oh yeah.
Okay. So just for the kids here, the other information is that Patrick Sackville, he was the principal secretary. He's former Doug Ford's, and now he's Doug Ford's chief of staff.
Oh, interesting.
So he was aware 10 days earlier than he admitted under oath and testimony that there was some stuff going on with the green belt and all that kind of stuff. Now, Blaine Higgs last spring said that there was no discussion of Policy 713 and that even he did not know the details. Turns out, quote from the CBC, records obtained by CBC News show the Premier was sent a detailed brief about the policy as far back as 2019. Say parents were consulted from the start, and a new draft support document offered guidance to education on family involvement in privacy.
They forgot.
And there's a time CBC was even kind enough to provide a timeline.
I have it right here. I'll bring it up.
2018, official policy development begins. 2019, Higgs received briefing note about finalized policy. August 17th, 2020, Policy 713 enacted after Dominic Carty signs it. And basically, as we heard in our interview with Mr. Rouse, basically kept on asking the Premier about it, and then he wouldn't say anything. And before the session ended, prior to the last election, that Mr. Higgs also called prematurely, Carty passed it. And then apparently there was some discussion between him and Carty where he turned around. Higgs said, "Why did you do that? You know I didn't like it." And he says, "Actually, I didn't know you didn't like it because you never responded." So I guess he was supposed to read his mind that the lack of response meant that he didn't like it. He didn't want to be on the record saying he didn't like it. He just figured that if he didn't respond to all the requests for input, that Carty would just give up on it. But he said, Carty said, "Well, it's my job to pass these regulations, so I passed the regulation." And then Higgs got his knickers in a twist.
I think the big thing here is these guys, gals, don't realize what year it is, what technology is, and the fact that we can store this stuff and look it up. It doesn't disappear into the cosmos somewhere. There's nothing that can be hidden anymore. It's going to come out eventually. Some smart person's going to say, "Wait a minute, didn't I?" And boom, there it is. You've got the history.
I think they're relying
35 years ago,
Yeah,
we
you couldn't do that.
might not have been able to do this.
Yeah, when you had to go to the library and look up microfiche
Yeah.
and stuff.
You needed-
And you didn't have access to email and nothing was
You
forever.
needed a good journalist to do some in-depth study and research, but you
I
don't
think
have
they're
to do-
relying on us.
Nothing's hard anymore.
They're relying on us to be stupid and ignorant.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it's not. Your average Gen Z kid can literally find anything in seconds.
Yeah.
So when you get seasoned veteran journalists doing the research, as we've noticed with Rachel Gilmore, who is able to parse through, because this is what she does full time.
And thank
Parse
goodness
through
people like
everything.
her.
Exactly. And I believe Rachel is Gen Z, is she not? Or just on the edge of millennial
Think
Gen
so.
Z?
Yeah,
I think she's Gen Z. And I mean, look at her, the work she does, the effort she puts in to find the information and parse it and put it together in a very neat little small bite soundbite package, which is what the conservatives always do. They go for the soundbite. But Rachel puts it together, parses it, and just organizes it so that you can make sense of it, which is why I'd love to work with her.
It doesn't add anything. There's no extra. There's no bias. This is what happened. A, B,
Yes.
C, D.
And always ends it with, what do you think?
Yep. And we all have the option of Mr. Google. It's
Yes.
not like if we're ignorant today, it's because we choose to be ignorant today.
You are correct. I have access to all the knowledge on planet Earth right here in the palm of my hand.
Well, it's like you say, it's like they're using the 2013 technology to do 1970s politics better. And it's like...
Except in 1970, they would have never gotten away with the stuff they're doing.
Oh, God,
foolish stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
But it's
the
like,
generation behind me would have they would have been doing the eye rolling and, how stupid do they expect us to believe this? Like, they wouldn't have put up, or I can't imagine them having put up with too much of it.
yeah. So they are literally treating us like we're stupid. They're literally insulting our intelligence. They think that we can't find out or that we don't know. They always pretend that they didn't know or they had no involvement or that this is new for them. So, I mean, it just seems to be that the de facto position of the Canadian public is when a conservative is being asked for accountability that we first assume that they're lying.
Yeah. And they want to present themselves as being as stupid as we are.
Yeah.
Well, as stupid as they think we are.
The electrician who brings lightning, captures lightning from the sky.
And runs it down a copper wire.
To illuminate the room that we're standing. Oh my God. Well, he's being hyperbolic. Why does he keep saying it then? Over and over. He's got, I think there's 5 or 6 times they've recorded him saying this. Come on.
You wonder who are their minders and who are their speech writers and who looks at their stuff and says, oh, this will go over well. Who?
I don't know. I think it's because they're in the bias confirmation echo chamber that everybody says, what about this? That's a great idea. Everybody, isn't that a great idea? That's a great idea. That's an excellent idea. Sir, you sir are excellent at what you do.
When I very first got involved in politics and I was just a kid, there used to be minders, wise, experienced people. You'd run something past them and they'd say, don't you dare. You'll look stupid. You'll make us look stupid. This can be proven wrong. Make sure everything is backed up. That doesn't seem to happen anymore. Like, are the minders all 27 and...
Well, like with this policy 713 thing, right? It's like we're 2024 now. Mm-hmm. The timeline goes back to 2018 when the development begins. Higgs receives the briefing note on October 22nd, 2019. It's like, does nobody sit there and say, hey, we have 5-year stack of email here. Nobody will ever see these. Let's run with this.
And on something, like I said before, that's not really a big deal. I mean, it's an important thing. I think it's important that these kids are left with their privacy and being able to use the name that they choose. But this doesn't affect all of New Brunswick. As I said, it's very, very tiny. If they put it through and said, and left it as it was, nobody would say a word. They're the ones drumming up all the contentious, all the arguments, and all the dangers of all this. It's not people doing it. It's the few nutcakes.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They've taken a policy that wasn't as good as it could have been in the first place. That was, helping some people that didn't need to have a ton of attention brought to it. The people it was meant to help knew about it, and that's all that mattered. And they turned that into the people who are teaching your kids are keeping secrets from you.
Yeah.
And are showing them pornography in classes and proactively going up to students saying, hey, do you feel like changing your gender today? We can help you with that.
You look like a Susan. You're not Ralph anymore. You look like a Susan.
Yeah.
But what this is doing to teachers have enough problems just with curriculum alone. They don't need this stuff. And somebody will be hurt. Somebody will be injured. Somebody will get hit in the back of the head coming out to their car one day. Something awful will happen. But it won't be the government's fault. It'll be somebody else.
Of course. much like the
What?
individual in Edmonton.
Yep.
Oh, he's just alone. Except he was literally everything he said. We've heard from Pierre Poilievre, Daniel Smith, Scott Moe to a certain degree. Ironically enough, not Doug Ford.
No, not Doug Ford. Doug Ford has this weird thing that he's like Republican in the traditional sense that he's just all about money. For Doug Ford, everything is always about money.
Right.
Like it's everything he gets caught in is money and finances and big business and that type of stuff. But he doesn't really indulge in the racism or a little bit in the sexism because he does have the abuser talk. But the racism or the anti-immigration stuff or the anti-religious stuff. Yeah, he really is a little more old school that way and has a bit of a survivor instinct in that, as opposed to other premiers when, they get caught, they double down. He tends to pull back and say, okay, I got caught, I won't do it again. But then he tries again through another way. But he seems to have a bit of a survival instinct. And here's something that happened yesterday, which was really interesting because in a plot twist, we had that federal court decision saying that the invocation of the Emergencies Act was maybe unjustified or didn't reach the threshold, and that some of the measures that were invoked were unconstitutional. And you have Daniel Smith going around saying, "We won." Like this is like, I've been reading the decision, and the answer to the question, "We won," and I'm sitting there like, "Were you even a litigant?" The answer is no. Actually, one of the litigants sent some documents to all the attorney generals throughout Canada saying, please participate in this court case on our behalf, intervene. And out of all the attorney generals in Canada, the one from Alberta was the cheese that stood alone and decided, yeah, sure, we'll do that. Everyone else seemed to have had a minder.
Funny.
It's like, maybe you don't want to participate in this court case, but Alberta, chin up, ass out, do. Let's go in there like this. And it says, you won. You didn't win anything. You weren't a litigant. You weren't an applicant. You had nothing before the court. And most of the stuff you brought before the court, according to what the justice said, had not much to do with any constitutional matters. They were like side things.
But the base heard we won.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all. Really, probably that statement went out for was somebody's going to hear this. They'll feel special.
But in Ontario, Sylvia, it wasn't Doug Ford himself, but Sylvia Jones, the alleged Minister of Health, because anytime there's an issue of actual health, she kind of disappears. She's the one that came out and said, we think the decision is wrong. Because Doug Ford back in the day didn't want to lift a finger to help Ottawa, but he did want the problem to be solved. He did not want to be seen intervening because he needed the votes of the people that were there in June of that year, just a couple months later, to get elected. But he also didn't want the problem because he didn't want to lose the votes of everybody else. So when the EA was invoked, he supported it. And then there was the question, well, gee, does he still support it now? Because a lot of people that seem to be changing their minds after the federal court decision. And Sylvia Jones came out and in a plot twist said, yeah, it was the right decision. We still support it. So now we have conservatives in Ontario going against conservatives in Ottawa. Fight.
Is it the PCs against the conservatives? Do you think at any point?
Ontario PCs. Yeah, it's got to be at some point.
Yeah.
Right?
I've got a lot of conservative friends who I call PCers.
Yes.
Wonderful people, and when I'm talking to them, they agree with me. They see the crazy stuff, but when it comes time to put the little check in the box, I know what way they're going to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We have some progressive conservative listeners and viewers that have joined us over the course of the year who happily admits this. Like, I was a progressive conservative voter, and they like this show because we're not doing that stuff. We don't engage in that stuff. But you're right. I think there's a certain portion as well. It's almost like there needs to be a campaign of like genuine conservatives against the Conservative Party.
Yes, because there's a night and day difference.
They had the progressive. What was the new party that the federal party?
Center Ice Canadians.
No, it was this something Conservative Party. Hugh Siegel, I think, was the.
Oh, the late senator?
Yeah, he was the party leader.
Oh,
I can't
I didn't
I'm
know
not
that.
familiar.
Wasn't the Progressive Canadian Party, maybe?
Well, and Hugh was very much a progressive conservative
Yeah, for sure.
in the very traditional sense.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm looking it up here. I can't see.
They might have broken up. I don't know. But
Oh yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
they would have
of the
because
old conservatives kind of switched over to that after the debacle with Peter and the party.
Yes.
yeah, I can't see anything here in what I'm looking at, because I know when he left the Senate, he went to found a community organization to fight for universal basic income.
I think it was the Progressive Canadian Party, I think.
Could be.
Looking in the chat here.
Centrist Canadians formally changed their name to Canadian Future Party.
Yep, no, that's not the one.
That's an interesting choice of words, though. Canadian Future Party?
Yeah. Look at it. The Progressive Canadian Party was a minor centre-right federal party in Canada. It was registered with Elections Canada on March 29th, 2004. Let's see if it had a leader. Oh, no, not Hugh. Yeah, it was Joe Huglin.
Yes, who was a great old fellow. Absolutely wonderful old man.
Yeah, Joe Huglin. One of the organizers, Joe Huglin, is a former Progressive Conservative Member of Parliament for Niagara Falls, Ontario. In announcing the new party, Huglin stated that the party had about a dozen potential candidates and a mailing list of 3,300 names. Had a national convention under the direction of Sinclair Stevens, who was a cabinet minister in the Progressive Conservative government of Brian Mulroney. And then there was another man, founding party leader, Ernie Schreiber. That's a name that's not familiar to me. And
that name rings a bell, actually.
And then Heward Gaffney as well. Yeah, was part of it.
Ernie Schredner rings a bell, though. But from what I can't remember where I know
like
that
the
name.
70s or something, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, you're right. There was that. Hilda, when it comes to New Brunswick, and given the election coming up, there's Policy 713, and it seems that that's the horse they're going to sort of whip to try and get what they hope will be the rabid right vote. Hope to get people that are very motivated or very fearful to come out and vote. But in those, when I'm looking at the polling and the way things are divided, even though there hasn't been a fresh poll since November, it seems that that New Brunswick is sort of split. There's an area that's very blue and there's an area that's very red, and that they're trying to appeal to people, how do I put it, who don't have children in the education system and think that things are they want to convince them that things are worse than they are, that there's a bunch of corrupt teachers out there trying to, damage kids in a certain way and hide information from parents.
Well, that's why you go to universities, to get all that book learning so you can destroy the country.
Well,
I think that they've picked a losing horse. I don't think it's an issue for very many people. And there's education is an issue. Schools are an issue. Teachers are an issue. That kind of stuff are issues. The state of schools, the actual buildings themselves, busing, cafeterias, those are issues to parents. Now, you're right when you say they're looking at getting people excited who aren't parents. But I don't think it'll fly. I think there'll be bigger issues as the election gets closer. The health system is an absolute mess in New Brunswick. It's just, I can't really see unless they keep flogging it themselves. But people get tired of this. If it doesn't affect you, why are you bothering? I've been wrong a couple of times, but I hope I'm not wrong about this one.
Okay. The other issue that we were wondering about, from your perspective, is given I'm not sure if you guys had a cold snap like has been had out west.
We've been warned.
No, it's been
Well,
warm?
depends on what part of the Maritimes you're in. If you're in northern New Brunswick, it's a little bit different than if you're in Sackville or Halifax or Charlottetown.
Okay. What is the homeless situation like?
Not great.
Okay.
There's more and more and more every year. A lot of it's mental health issues, drug issues, of course. A lot of people in Halifax, in the cities, with rents and stuff like that. There have been families in Halifax, which is brand new. There's never been families really before. Same thing in New Brunswick, but
even 40 years ago.
Yeah,
40 years ago, it was an unthinkable thought.
PEI anymore. Like you go to PEI, there's no place to stay. There's no. The kids that are going to school over there have an absolute huge problem finding a place that they can afford to stay in. Halifax is the same. It may make a difference now with international students. They're going to be limiting that. That might help. Maybe.
Well, are they doing the review? Like, I don't know if you have the same issue in the Maritimes that we have here in the province of Ontario with the colleges that aren't really colleges. All they're doing is just bringing in foreign students who end up never going to class because they never really hold a class, and it's just to get their money.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem here that I know of. I haven't heard.
Well, Kathleen Wynne had been shutting those schools down across the province of Ontario, and then Doug Ford came in and let them all open back up. But now that he's under the microscope again, they're going to have a review of these colleges, and I say that in quotation marks, air quotes, because they don't really teach anything. They're just basically a mill to get money away from and out of foreign students.
The diploma mill. Universities, colleges, and whether they're legit or not, they've all been turned into a business.
Yes, it's true. It's sad, but these are not legitimate places of higher education. So the review that's coming forth will close a lot of these schools.
To my knowledge, it's not a thing on the East Coast.
Okay.
Or I haven't heard somebody. If somebody wants to correct me, great, do that. But
yeah, because there was the immigration minister Mark Miller, who's announced recently that there's going to be a 2-year cap on new study permits for international students. The number of permits will drop by more than a third to allow 360,000 students in rather than the number that was before. So that should free up some space. And he says that it's about addressing the integrity of the system. He's quoted as saying, "It's not the intent of this program to have sham commerce degrees and business degrees that are sitting on top of a massage parlor that someone doesn't even go to, and then they come in the province and drive an Uber."
How do these people get licensed? Doesn't somebody have to go over their curriculum or their syllabus, or at least
that's
your
the
professor
provinces
qualified?
Yeah.
Yes. But see, that's the provinces, and this is where you got the federal conservatives coming in and says, well, Sean Fraser, he was the immigration minister. Now he's the housing minister. He's the one that approved all these people coming in. They gave them the permits to come in to study. So, yeah, but you are the ones that told the federal government that these are legitimate schools.
When they're not.
So the provinces, again, are trying to slough the responsibility off to the federal government, saying, well, you issued the permits, so we built the schools. No. You said the schools were legitimate, so we issued the permits.
Yeah, the provinces.
That's what happened. Now we found out that they're not. So now we're capping the permits.
I'm afraid the same thing's going to happen right across the country with medical clinics.
Oh, with the
They're
privatization.
being approved left, right, and center, and I haven't heard anything terrible about them yet, except the money, the price, when we're supposed to be getting all this stuff free. Well, not free, but it's supposed to be provided for us. But it's getting really easy now. I was sent for some tests. I'm a post-COVID person. Isn't that wonderful? So I've been, getting tests every week practically for months. And I was informed, if I want to, you can go here and you don't have to wait your 7 weeks to get your appointment. You can come in next week, for the low price of $749.
Yeah, we heard about that in Ontario too. There was a guy that needed a surgery that he couldn't get, so they said, well, you can get the surgery in Alberta. So they sent him to Alberta, and he thought that OHIP would be covering it. But because the laws were designed such, oh, no, we only pay for it if it's someone in province. And he got a $28,000 bill.
28,000.
So now he's back in hospital because he's had a heart attack when he opened up the bill.
But that's what they're doing now, is that they're ruining the service in province so that you go out of province and then you pay.
Yeah, the oldest game in the book. Break it, make it look really bad. It's going to be somebody else's fault. Then bring in the savior, that the guy with the money and big business. They can do it much better.
But before, when they sent you to another province, they would cover the bill. They had to.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're making sure that you can't get it in province, so that you have to go out of province. And therefore, so if everybody coordinates among their own provinces to say you can't get there, then all of a sudden everybody's paying. That's how you shift everyone from a non-payer system to a payer system.
Yeah. And those with money will be fine. Sadly, I'm not one of those people with money.
Yeah, neither am I.
Until Hollywood sees this clip and says, oh my goodness, we need that woman. A blockbuster, she'll be the star. You think? Douglas went blank. I could tell he's thinking, what is she saying?
Blockbuster. Oh my God. Hilda, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We love your insight. We love your wisdom. Please keep your ear to the ground. And if you hear about anything going on in New Brunswick, please bring it to us.
Thank you very much.
We really need to know what's going on. It's so nice to be working with you again.
Love you both. Take care.
All right, you take care.
Bye, dear.
Now, how do I leave? There's the button that says leave. I'll leave now.
Okay. See ya.
And I wave my magic beaver wand and poof, there she goes. Kids and Cubs, do let us know if what you think about us having people in different regions who can keep us a little more informed about what's going on, if that's something that you like for the show, because it's sort of a vision we had when we started this out, and hopefully we'll be able to find people all over the place to be able to bring you more information, because we're only one beaver and one grizzly, and we can't be everywhere.
Indeed.
Yeah. But yeah, we're talking about that student cap, Pierre Polovyov's actual quote. He and Sean Fraser granted, he being Trudeau, of course, he and Sean Fraser granted the study permits for tens of thousands to come to go in fake colleges that the Liberal government now admits were puppy mills. He did that. Completely bypassing who approved these fake colleges and gave them licenses to operate like puppy mills. Of course, and of course, puppy mills. Let's go for the emotionally charged language here. Like this. And of course, he's saying that like we're supposed to believe that he cares about foreign students and how they're treated. Again, foreign students and how they're treated, Indigenous Canadians, and gay people. Only cares about them when he can use them as an inanimate object, a cudgel with which to bash Trudeau over the head. Otherwise, doesn't care about them one bit.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, Kitland M. We're supposed to believe he cares about puppies. Oh.
I mean, well.
Oh. Man. That is,
I mean, it's a good point.
Jeez. One other little thing here that I noticed the other day that will certainly raise a couple of ears.
What's up? I don't know what you're talking
It's
about. You got me lost. I'm lost. I'm lost in a sea of confusion. That's
it's
not
about our
for me.
good friend Mr. Singh
Oh,
again.
what did he do now?
Yeah. He put out a tweet the other day that sounds like he didn't write it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm just trying to find it here. Sorry, that's why I'm talking slowly.
Can't talk and chew gum at the same time.
There we go, Mr. Grizzly. I think I have it up on the share screen for you. Yeah, I'm going to blow it up. Please read it.
After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, food prices are up. Big grocer CEO profits are up. Canadians are paying more and getting less. It doesn't have to be this way. The NDP is fighting for tougher competition laws to help make groceries more affordable. Oh my God, Singh.
How did he start his tweet?
After 8 years of Justin Trudeau. What the fuck, dude?
Whose act is that again?
Pierre Poilievre. Come on, man. You're better than that. Maybe you're not. Apparently you're not. Because you've done this more than once. Why are you pulling from the con playbook? Ed Broadbent is rolling over in his grave right now. Jesus.
So, dental care. We did that. No help from anyone.
Yeah.
These luxury condos, 80% below market, led by indigenous organizations. And now, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau.
Every time I hear that, it pisses me off because it has nothing to do with the prime minister. He doesn't set the price of groceries. He doesn't set the price of housing. That's private sector.
Why is he tag teaming?
I don't know.
Why
it's
is
not
he...
a good look.
But here's the thing. As a party leader, why is he making the conservative case rather than making his own?
I don't know. Why is he helping Poilievre? Because he's doing that when he does stuff like this.
Because this is not going... It's not like Poilievre is going to give him
a cabinet position.
Well, a cabinet position, but even like this particular government, even though the NDP and the Liberals are not ideologically the same.
Mm-hmm. They're much closer than the Conservatives.
They're closer, but they're not the same. There is no reality in which a Conservative government would sign a supply and confidence agreement, would say, hey, give us 2 or 3 of your pet policies. We'll help you bring them through.
That would never happen. Not under the Reform Party.
The dental care program that he just spent the last 3 years fighting for and maybe losing political capital for. Like, does he not want it to remain after the next election?
Skippy will kill it along with daycare.
But that's the thing. That's the part I don't understand. If you actually believe in the policies, why is your behavior not commensurate and coherent and constant and cogent with the concept of ensuring that the programs you say you believe in and fought so hard to bring into existence remain in place for the long term?
This is what I don't get.
And it was the same thing I didn't understand with Jack Layton, because we had the Colonial Accord and we had daycare back then. And it was just on the verge of being put into place. And then he participated in making sure that a snap election happened. And then we lost all of that. And then it took 10 years to get daycare back into place. And for all those 10 years, the NDP kept on saying, well, the Liberals keep on promising, but they never delivered. But you are the ones who scuttled it.
Yeah.
Ken Dryden had done everything. He had the deals negotiated with all 10 provinces. It was ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys made sure it didn't happen. And then you fundraised for the next 10 years by claiming that liberals always promise it but would never deliver it. It's like, do you believe in the program or not?
That's the exasperated GIF. Somebody make a GIF out of that. That's the GIF or GIF, whatever you want to call it. That's the exasperated one.
I understand that the man needs to create some type of distinction.
Sure.
In order to run. I just do not understand like this. It is a perfectly viable lane. The Canadians in the previous election voted in a minority parliament because they didn't want the Liberals to have a majority and they wanted parties to work together. A confidence and supply agreement was signed, signaling that they would work together. Canadians were very happy about this, with the exception of Conservatives, because it made them completely impotent and irrelevant in the House of Commons. So be it. You don't want to play nice with others? Don't be surprised when you don't have friends who want to play with you.
Yeah.
And now, instead of running in the next election, hey, we worked together for the last 4 years to bring you this and this and this. Hire more of us, and there'll be more working together. Instead, he's going to run on trying to be...
Yeah.
There is a viable lane for I am a cooperative partner. I don't understand the move. I just don't understand the move. All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed.
All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Sharing is caring, so please be sure to tell your peeps and poops all about us. It's very important that you do, and that you do it, and we really, really do appreciate it. Kid James has found a roommate, guys. Moving home next week. That's wonderful. Yeah, call me after the show, James. Let's have a chat. I'd like to hear what's going on in your life. If you would like to not miss an episode,
that's true.
What?
The CSIS investigation.
Oh yes, that's another thing that the Conservatives are saying they have no clue is actually going on. By the way,
we'll get to that tomorrow.
Yeah. If you'd like to not miss an episode, you don't have to. Actually, no, we won't be getting that tomorrow.
Well, I mean, afterwards, we can address it.
Yes. You don't have to because of the Ray Girl. Because you just get that QR code that's under our chin. And that way, that'll bring you to our Podpage site. That's podpage.com/TheTrueNorthEagerBeaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And that way, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it'll come directly to you. If you would like to support us in other ways, our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated page is there for you. Just click the like button or share or subscribe. I got it right today. And you can support us there. And if you would like to go to our coffee page instead, that little squiggly by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you there to the Emergency Hydration Fund here at the Beaver Lodge. And you can make a contribution. And the kids have been very generous because yesterday I said it, we had 2 donations in one day the previous day, and that hadn't happened in a long time. We got 3 within 24 hours yesterday. So kids, thank you so very much. I know 2 of the names. The third one I can't remember off the top of my head, so I'm just going to save that till tomorrow to give the thanks because we really got to wrap up here. Because democracy is something that you do, go get your shots, write those letters, please, and make sure that you go to hamiltonhelps.com to sign that petition to open up the armories. For some reason, there's something going crazy on Twitter that the petition can't be shared anymore because apparently they said it might have some dangerous content or something. So, yes. So Angela and Leanne are not able to share the actual link to the petition on Twitter anymore for some reason. I don't know what it is. So you're physically going to have to go to Hamilton Helps.
Elon being the bastion of free speech.
And if you don't remember it off the top of your head, if you read the show description, when you look at, we have the website in there for you under the democracy, something that you do section. So just go there, please sign the petition, because homelessness is a choice. It's a policy choice. Yes. And politicians are doing it in your name, on your dime, on your time.
Mhm.
All right. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
I'm late. I got to get to the office. Let's wrap up.
All right. Roll the credits. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community. And the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.